my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to part 2 of the electric guitar full setup. So those of you who saw the first video will remember that I was struggling to get an Allen key into the truss rod to actually adjust it. Well, I don't give up easily. So what I ended up doing was finding another tool, which is actually an extension, which was the right size, I think. I don't know what had happened to this truss rod, but somebody has butchered it. So I basically, the rod that you can see going into the truss rod is an extension for my little screwdriver set. And I ended up hammering that into the truss rod adjuster, carefully, obviously. You know, I didn't get a great big £2 hammer and bash it in. I used this little cheapy tack hammer type thing, and just I had to, you know, give it a little bit of a tap to get it in there, and I did, and kind of wedged it in. Then used an Allen key, which is the same size as the end of the socket, if you like, and used that to turn it. And had to go a little way. Obviously there was quite a bit of back bow in it. And now, I don't really think you're going to be able to see this, but when I put my notched straight edge on the fretboard, it's pretty much bang on the money, okay, which is what we want. And also looking down the neck, I've got a fairly good eye for this, and it looks to me as though it's absolutely dead straight. Looking down it both ways, yep, so I think we've got that, thankfully. Now it's a question of whether or not I can get my tool out of there. So I'll take the Allen key out first. It's wiggling a bit, so it should come out. There we go, pop. That's, you know, going to be a little bit of an issue for this guitar in the future, but if that's set correctly, then we should be all right. So, the fretboard itself is now level. Now I want to get my fret rocker and just check all of the frets to see if we've got any high frets, and if I need to do a fret job. There's the tiniest amount there, not enough that I would worry about, to be honest. For that. Looks like we might have a little bit of a high fret here. Yeah, definitely. That's interesting. We've got some high frets at this end. Okay, this is going to need a fret job, 100%. That's fine, I kind of expected that anyway. And it's better to just do it. You know, I quoted the customer for doing this anyway. It would have just been a bonus if I didn't have to do it. It would have taken me a lot less time, and you know, I could have knocked a little bit of the price off for the customer. But it needs doing, and I'm going to do it. So, you know, there's no point not doing it because it needs doing. And you know, if I don't, I mean, it is very minimal, to be honest, but certainly at this top end, nearest the body, is so far where we've got the problems, and that would, you know, be a good reason for having this buzzing issue. You know, the fact that the neck wasn't straight anyway wasn't helping, but straightening this neck with the truss rod is only half the job. You know, if I don't do this fret job where we've got the high frets up here, it's still going to have the problem. And it is quite interesting to see that all the way up the rest of the neck, absolutely fine, absolutely fine. It's literally about the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or so frets, possibly not even that. Last 7 or 8 frets where we seem to have the problem, which is perfectly understandable for a number of reasons. I mean, wherever this guitar was built and who by, and even if it is fairly high quality, high end, they rarely do a fret job out of the factory. And if they do, they concentrate on this end less. And we've definitely got a problem here, definitely. So this 100% needs to be done. Let me see if I can find... This is a bit too wide, you see, really, for doing this. I don't have a proper fret rocker. I wonder if that'll work. No different. But yeah, we've definitely got a problem with high frets at this end, and that's exactly what the problem is. Yeah, some of these are pretty bad, to be honest. So the third one from the end is really high. Is it? Actually, the fourth one, sorry. Yeah, that's really high. So that's almost certainly what the problem is with this guitar. I mean, as I said, the underbow in the neck wasn't helping. I think quite possibly what somebody had done, whether it's the current owner or a previous owner or somebody else that, you know, isn't very good at their job, may have tried to overcome this buzzing by putting that underbow in the neck. But unless you address the actual problem, it ain't going to make any difference. You know, the underbow of the neck, sometimes it will eradicate a buzz, but not all that often, to be honest. You've got to address the problem, and just putting an underbow in the neck to raise the strings up is not going to solve the problem. More often than not, it's going to make no difference, and sometimes it'll even, you know, make it worse. So I think that's what's happened here. Someone has tried to overcome that buzzing by putting an underbow in the neck, and they've destroyed the end of the truss rod, the adjuster bit as well. You know, and that's a big problem. Because you need the adjustment on the truss rod. If the end of it's mullered, completely destroyed, you can't adjust it. And you can't change a truss rod without removing the fretboard and doing some major surgery to the neck. It's not just unscrew it, screw another one in. It doesn't work like that. I mean, you could, but you know, you're never going to get it to fit properly by doing that. You've got to remove the fretboard, you've got to dig the old one out, and you've got to fit the new one, not just screw it in. You've got to fit it. It's got to fit perfectly and be the right size, the right bow, and everything. So it's a big job to change a truss rod, and it's not even a job I would want to undertake. It's very destructive, and it's pretty difficult to do, to be honest. I can do it, but I wouldn't want to. You know, I'd have to charge a customer a fortune, and I don't know what this guitar's worth, but it might well outprice it. Anyway, enough waffling. So we know what we're up against. We need to do a fret job. So I'll just grab my tools for that. So the ends of the frets currently pretty good. I mean, they're not sharp at all. They do seem to stick out a little bit at the sides of the fretboard, but they're not sharp. So I need to. Do I need to turn it around? No, not really. Okay. So I'm going to start in my usual way by marking the tops of the frets with a Sharpie. Now, as I said, the main problem here is at this end, the body end. And okay. So that's where I'm going to need to concentrate mostly when I do this fret job, but I will have to do the whole fretboard so as not to make it uneven the other way. So we will see how it goes when I'm doing the fret job. It should be pretty easy, really, and fairly quick. It shouldn't take too long to do it, because there's only 3 or 4, maybe 5 frets that are high, and they're all at one end. All of the rest of them are actually Okay. So, you know, I need to do as little as possible at the other end. Anyway, we'll get them all marked, and we'll see what happens. These frets are so grubby and grimy, I can even barely see my black Sharpie mark on the top of them. They are horrendous. They haven't been cleaned for about 100 years. So this is going to make a big difference. Okay, so I'm going to start at the top end and work my way down into the fretboard, into the body end. Going to be very careful not to, you know, mark the body. Should be okay. So here we go. This is a radius fretboard, so I've got to make sure I stay with that radius while I'm doing this. Interesting, I'm not hitting the first fret. It's strange. But I can see where the problems are down here. I can see where the low frets are, or the high frets either side. Right. I'm going to concentrate more on this end. Stop there and try it again with the fret rocker and see where we are as soon as I find it. There it is. Okay. Well, I don't expect to see much if any change at this end because there really wasn't a problem at this end. Just have to make sure that I file all of the frets so that they stay level with each other, if that makes sense. You don't want to just do one end and then they'll end up lower than the other frets. So you do the whole fretboard. Okay. So up to the 12th fret we're good. We're actually getting towards the point now where we had the problem, so good so far. It's quite awkward to do because this isn't a proper fret rocker. You can use it for this, but it doesn't have a really narrow part for doing the frets at this end. Still got a little bit there. That's on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th fret. Yeah, we've still got a little bit going on there. Right, I need to find something else to do that with. Not ideal, but it should work. appears to have done the trick. Okay, well, yeah, that's sorted that out. So we're going to re-crown the tops of the frets now. Now these are bigger frets than on the CVG I was doing. So we're going to start with the biggest gauge, which is that one. We need to go to number 2, which is that one. Just try that. Okay, what it is then? Yeah, it's number 1. That's interesting. Doesn't seem to be doing it quite right. This isn't the best crowning file in the world, to be honest, but I mean, I didn't really take very much off of these, so it's not taking much to do them anyway. And I don't think I'll need to do the ends of them. They're all good. Okay, a couple more. Okay, this is going to run into a third video, that's fine. Okay, so that's the frets leveled and crowned. Yeah, don't need to do the ends, they're all fine. Okay, so I'm going to polish the frets the quick way because I need to clean the fretboard anyway. So, and the quick way is to find some wet and dry sandpaper. Got some 1500 there. It's a little bit fine, really, but we'll see how that works. Can always go a bit coarser if I need to. So I'm literally just going to go all the way up and down the fretboard to polish the frets and clean them up. Be careful not to. Actually, I need to cover the pickups up. I don't want any metal filings going inside the pickups. Just as well I thought of that when I did. Yeah. So these frets are cleaning up nice. It's just going to take a little while. So I'm just going to use the wet and dry sandpaper to go over all of the frets to do 3 things really: to clean them because they're really grimy, and to clean and polish them so that they're nice and shiny. And also to remove any of the remaining Sharpie marks on them So it really is just to clean and polish them. But as I said, they're pretty grimy. This is going to take a little while. So I'm not going to film too much more of this. You can see what I'm doing. I'm just basically sanding the frets to clean and polish them and to remove any of the Sharpie marks. This is going to take me a little while to do these because, as I said, they're pretty bad. But after I've done this, I'll need to work on the fretboard itself, because it's going to make a little bit of a mess of the fretboard when I'm doing this, but it's easy enough to clean up. But it's another job that takes a while, so I think I'll probably do that in part 3. I've still got a few minutes. But you know, I mean, there's still a little bit of work to do. So I've got to clean all of the frets and the fretboard itself, you know, once I've cleaned the fretboard, I'll oil it as well. It's in a pretty poor state. And then once I've done all that, it will be a case of stringing it back up and setting it up, the intonation and the string height, string action, and check if all of the work has you know, done the job. It should do. I mean, you know, it was buzzing pretty bad, but you know, we figured out what the problem was. You know, it's a combination of too much underbow and the guitar actually needing a light fret job, which we've now done. So in any job, you know, the cleaning up afterwards is always the bit that takes the longest. So yeah, I'm not going to film any more of this now. You can see what I'm doing, but I will show you how I tidy up the fretboard in part 3. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time. Peace out.